Hi everyone, I'm Neizvestnaya, leadership and executive coach. I work with empathic and heart-centered leaders from all over the world, and together we transform the way they live and lead so they can really step into their power and live fulfilled and happy life. And today it's my great joint pleasure to introduce you to Linda Soriano, who recently graduated from the EQ-I Transformational Leadership Program and kindly agreed to spend some time with us today to share her journey, some of her insights, her results, and her overall awesome presence. So welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Maria. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. So what is that you do, and maybe a little bit about your background.
Okay, sure. So, I'm from South Carolina. I am a mother. That's my first priority. And I have been working in the field of marketing for the past 10 years for regional to national to international companies. Um, yeah, and I am also serving as the vice president of PR for a local women's empowerment Toastmasters group in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina to be exact. So I got my hands full, I think, between my 4-year-old toddler and work and serving on the board of the club. So
Yeah, so you're serving community, you're moving forward with your career, and of course you're a wonderful mom. So it's definitely a lot of different dimensions and areas. Okay. So if we look back at March of 2019, the time when we actually met, right, and the time that we started to talk about the possibility of you participating in the program. So if you can tell us a few words about what was happening in that moment and why you decided to reach out.
yeah, I was working for a company where my entire team they were remote. So everybody worked in the United Kingdom where the corporate office was. And I worked in the office for the US. So I was responsible for all of North America and Latin America marketing. And I soon realized that I was juggling more than I could handle. There was a lot of, it was a very high demand, high pressure position, and we were moving at such a fast pace. And I just didn't want to drop the ball. I was very passionate about my work, and that was my thing at that time. I just wanted to make sure I got everything done and on time. So I tried to take on more than I could. And I realized that I was burning out. So I knew that I just needed to figure out how to fix that.
What were the signs that you noticed? So if you can share a little bit more about that. So what were some of the uh, kind of signals, right? The signs that you thought, oh, something is going on here. I need to actually reach out and I need some help.
Oh yeah, I started to have anxiety. I found it very difficult to go to sleep. Work was constantly on my mind. I just remember this moment. I was carrying my laptop, boarding the plane, still working, trying to send an email all the way up into the plane, and I just started to have anxiety. I started to be very frustrated and restless, and I just knew something was going on with me health wise. And I also felt guilty that I wasn't able to come home in a timely manner to spend time with my son. So that was a
Yes.
big issue.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so it was like, I remember when we first talked, it was like this kind of vicious cycle, right? That we often see that on one hand, you feel that something needs to change regarding your schedule at work because you really want to attend to your other priorities in life. First of all, to your son. And then on the other hand, you are so anxious about actually letting things go or structuring things differently, right? Because you think that, okay, so if I do this, then something will be broken, I will not be so efficient, etc., etc. And this
Mhm.
is a very one of the things that people notice a lot when they're approaching that kind of are really not, I would say, um, even healthy, I would say, right? Point of
Mhm.
where the edge of the a burnout situation. I remember we were talking about the program, and I don't know, do you remember how many hours per week approximately did you spend on your work projects?
Oh yeah. I remember going to the doctor's office at one point because I just had such bad anxiety, and I told him I was working average 60 hours a week, and he was like, you either need to get another job or you need to fix that. And I was just like, I love my job, I love my coworkers, I've just got to find a way to fix it.
Yes, and we were figuring out how to even so in within the program, it's a group program, and so there is 1 hour, like 60 to 90 minutes per week, right, when we meet as a group. And I remember we were kind of really thinking hard how to make it happen because your schedule was really, really intense. It was difficult. You understood that you wanted to prioritize that for yourself, right? But it was not really easy to make that shift.
Yeah, I do remember that. It was very hard for me to let go of my work, and I knew that I needed to, you know, get a coach, get somebody to help me figure out how to fix my chaotic schedule. But it was just so hard for me to let go. I just was one of those people that just wanted to hang on, just really wanted to do a good job, didn't want to drop the ball. And yeah, I finally gave in, and I'm so glad I did.
Yes, yes. So you made this step. So what happened, if you remember how your journey unfolded during the program? There were like probably some milestones, some discoveries. So if you can tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about myself and why I was so caught up on wanting to make sure that I didn't want to drop the ball. And I learned a lot about emotional intelligence and how we can tone up certain areas or emotions, or either tone down the emotions in certain situations. For example, I'm a very empathetic person. So I'm always mindful of everybody's feelings. And that is one of my strengths, is what I
Yes.
learned. But it can also be a weakness in certain situations because I carry that emotion so high all the time. And I think that's why I just got so caught up in not being able to really speak up about my workload because I was scared I would hurt people's feelings. I was always thinking about, helping everybody else, and it just wasn't doing me any good. So yeah, I learned a lot about that. I also learned how to control my anxiety, which was great, and learned some different tactics like meditation. So that was really good.
And that first step, so we start the first part of the program, right, is really focused on yourself and how, so we look at as you mentioned, so we look at some origins of our attitudes and behaviors and feelings, and we learn to be differently with our emotions. So we learn how we can actually utilize our strengths and our empathic self, so it can really serve us well. But at the same time, how can we prioritize ourselves? Because empathy starts with the empathy and compassion actually to ourselves first, right? And so that's
Mhm.
the big focus of the program in the first place, because I truly believe that people who have high ability of empathy, they are amazing leaders, and it's so much easier to adjust that leadership style to actually allow people, and so the leader himself or herself and the people in the team of that person to really thrive, right? So it's much easier with such amazing strength as empathy, and it's so needed in today's world, rather than develop
Mhm.
empathy and train in empathy when you don't have it. Then it's really big endeavor to actually try to develop that. So when you started to apply these practices and these things that you've learned, so what happened then? So what were the other things that started to happen?
I There was definitely some changes, and I think that it kind of caught other people that I was working with a little bit by surprise. But for myself, I started to find that I had a bit more self-control.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to remember
Yes.
not to go back into old ways. And I think that's really important. And that's where you played a big role, because there were times, because it's natural for people to,
Yes.
go back into their old ways. And when we meet regularly, when I talk about my week and my experience and things, you would always remind me, keep your eyes on the target, um, think about what you learned in the modules and things like that. We had exercises, so that really helped. Yeah.
And one of the things that you mentioned in, so when at the end of the program, when you wrote a kind of review about it, so you mentioned that you feel so much courage now. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? So that place of courage and power. So how did you get there?
Yeah. I, again, I think that before I was just afraid to speak up. Afraid to speak up. I'm not exactly sure why. I know one of the reasons why is because I was so worried about other people's feelings and how it would come across and things like that. But I just start to feel a bit more in control. And you also taught me how to deliver my message in a more constructive way. Um, so I learned that, and I was able to speak up about, you know, if I had certain opinions, or, if I had a certain feeling about something, I was able to speak up, and it felt really great. It was, I felt much more brave.
Yes. Yes, and that, so what happened with your workload and that work-life balance that we talked about at the beginning of the program? Do you remember the point when you started to see real shift, that you had more time for yourself, for your family, for some other activities?
Yes, I was able to work out uh, a plan and a business case to have somebody help me. So I did have somebody on my team start to help me on my work, and I was able to delegate, which I wasn't doing before. So I started to delegate a few things, and I found myself having a little bit more time. So then I would be able to leave work earlier. Um, yeah, it was just nice, because I think my main priority, well, I don't think, I know my main priority is being a mother, right? So making sure that I have that balance, because there's going to be times where you do have to work late, sometimes,
Yes.
but as long as it's not consistent, there's going to be times I might have to work late. There's going to be times I have to stay home because my son is sick or something. Like, there has to be a nice balance. So, yeah, I think that I was able to have a bit more control and achieve what I was looking for, which was a little bit more balance.
Yes, and we in the program, we actually start this balance with the balance within ourselves, right? Because without it, we get back to that anxiety loop, right, that you described earlier. But when you have this inner confidence, and when you have this inner courage and strength to actually advocate for yourself and take steps, right? So then you feel much more powerful in terms of being able to keep this balance, because balance, it shifts all the time, right? So life
Yeah.
happens. We need to adjust, as you described earlier. So that's something, that a skill that stays with you, right? So it's not something that is fixed and now, okay, my balance now looks like that, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
change it, right? So that's not how it happens, right? So it's rather the skill and the ability that we develop when we can actually, no matter what happens in life, still establish that balance and still make life work and feel fulfilled and make it a win-win, right? So when we win and other people win versus just other people win.
Yeah. I think definitely not speaking up before was a disservice to my coworkers, because they needed to know. I needed to speak up, and it was a disservice to myself, because I was just causing myself to be frustrated and having anxiety. And if you don't speak up, then they won't know. Um, so you just have to be prepared for the outcome. But as long as you do speak up, you're taking some sort of action to improve, right? And
Yes.
that's what I needed. So
Yes, and it's powerful because it's where you take responsibility actually, right? And so you take a committed, inspired action, and then you can see the results. Versus
Yeah.
when you are not taking action, but there is all that is boiling inside of you, right? It's very stressful. It's not good for the soul, for the body, for the whole system, right? So it's
Yeah.
really emotional taxing, and it's just a very difficult way to live. Actually, it's a lot of suffering.
Yeah. It definitely was.
Okay. So tell us a little bit what is happening now in your life. So I know that you've been through, and by the way, you've been through a lot of transitions, right, in the last 7 months or so. And transitions are difficult, as we know, they're challenging, and the skills that you develop, they kind of, I think, carry you through all that processes. And so tell us a little bit about what is going now. So what is happening?
So I ended up leaving the company that I was working at before. So I took that leap, and that's where I think I became courageous, and I was very brave to do that because I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to seek new opportunities for myself and start doing things for myself. Um, I Yeah, I just can't get over it. It hasn't been that long, but so much has happened.
Yes.
I feel like what typically would have happened within 5 years was truncated within the past few months. So I'm trying
Yes.
to figure out how to fit it all in. But yeah, a lot has happened. I stepped out of my comfort zone. You empowered me. You really, you really helped me be courageous and be, the person that I am now. And so I was able to speak up. And I left the company that I was working for that I just adored. And now I have a few projects on hand, but I'm also starting at a new workplace that I'm really excited
Congratulations.
about. Thank you. I'm so excited about it. And it's a promotional move, so that's a plus for me. And so
Yes.
that was one of my goals. And I'm also working on a blog, and I'm working on a marketing strategy mastermind that will be coming very soon. So I've got a lot of things happening that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, so tell me please more about the mastermind. I actually found out it literally just today about that, and I'm so excited for you. Literally, we discussed, like, remember when we were kind of within the group, we kind of started like just to kind of discuss that, and we didn't know at that point how, I mean, not specifically mastermind, but there are other ways for you to actually stand out and really shine, and how you can utilize all your skills and strengths and experience. And I'm just so excited to hear that you are actually doing this now. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about that. What is that about, and what is that, who is that for, and how, like, people can join, how they can find you?
Okay, yeah. So it's really exciting. Is I'm working on it now, and basically it's a simple three-step marketing strategy mastermind, which is basically like a workshop, and it's for entrepreneurs that are starting their business for the first time, and they want to implement some marketing strategies, and they just don't know where to start
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
because marketing and sales, it's the oxygen of a business, isn't it? So that's happening, and yeah, I'm just so excited. And I think it's going to be great for people that have a business and they want to scale, so maybe they're doing some marketing but it's
Mm-hmm.
not quite working out for them, and it's there to help them identify who their ideal clients are and figure out how to put a messaging program together to communicate to that audience, and how to basically organize it and start executing, and what resources they can use to save them time and to really make their business profitable. So I'm really excited about it.
Yes, that's amazing. I think that anyone who starts a business, especially, is marketing can be really it's like a huge mountain. You don't even know how to approach it, and there are thousands ways in which you can approach it, right? And so having a focused approach, like I like the 3 steps. That's really, I think that's powerful, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really helpful. And so what is the structure of the mastermind? Is it 1-day workshop, so several months? So how do you plan to build it?
So I'm going to offer it online,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be a half-day course. I'm still working on the agenda and making a few tweaks to it. And I don't want to make it complicated, because again, I want to make it easy for anybody that
Yes.
might not have marketing experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make it very easy. And in this mastermind, it's going to be a group of like-minded people, and we're going to be able to network and share ideas, but really drill down into what their goals are,
Mm-hmm.
and why do they want, these goals, and to really drill down what their needs and their desires are. And then once we figure that out, we can put a plan together that makes sense for them, because every business is different, of course. So not everything's going to fit in one box. So they'll be able to put together a tailored marketing strategy just for them. And the people that are in the mastermind group will be able to network, and there's opportunity to work with other people that they could probably do some joint marketing with, maybe. So there's a lot of opportunity there too, or bounce some ideas back and forth with.
Yes, and that's the power of mastermind, that you actually can cooperate with each other, right? You can co-build, you can co-create. So this is just amazing. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so how can we find out more about that? Do we have a Facebook page, business page? So where do we go?
Yes, I do have a Facebook page, and it's Linda Soriano. But I know there's a lot of Linda Sorianos, so I will be posting more information on Maria's Facebook page, and that's where you can find me. And I'll have more information about the mastermind and when it's going to be available then.
Okay, awesome. But anyhow, so if on Facebook you are Linda Soriano, right? And so it's quite easy to match the face with the name, right?
Yes.
So that's the first step, right? So please go and Linda as a friend and see, and we will of course promote in the emotional intelligence. In our emotional intelligence and mindfulness for leaders group. So stay tuned, and I'm so looking forward to see what is going to happen. Okay, awesome. So if you will think about something that you would like to share, maybe a piece of advice that you can give for people who are looking to hire a coach, or who are thinking about joining the coaching program, right? So what do you think are the key factors to success? So what helped you to succeed, right, in the program? So what one might consider before joining?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I think it's important to understand that, and I say this often, I say this to my friends and people that I work with, it's nothing different than an athlete that's continuing to train. So professionals, executives, managers, or, people that are inspiring to be in a leadership position, it's important to continue to invest in yourself and to educate yourself, get a coach, get a mentor, because your education doesn't stop at university. If you want to continue to improve, it's really important to invest in yourself. And you just have to really be humble, and know that there's opportunity for growth. You always have more potential than you really think you do. So for me, it's just been a blessing. The way I describe it is having a coach, having Maria there was like a secret weapon for me, because she was there for me. I know it sounds crazy, and I told my coworkers this. I said, Maria is like my secret weapon, because she's got the experience, she's got so much credentials, and she's so responsive. And if I come across something that I don't understand, um, she's there to help guide me. And the thing is, we don't know what we don't know. So it's important to find people that has already been through the things that you're going through now, that can help you, because nobody does anything by themselves, right? So I think it's really valuable to invest in having a coach.
Yes, you are welcome. What can I say? I think you're a motivational speaker, Linda. Like, and the total rock star, by the way.
Why,
No,
thank you.
thank you so much. Yes, it's just, yeah, yeah, I'm just speechless now because I not only just because what you shared about the coaching and the reasons why someone would consider hiring a coach, right? But just by the way you are talking, but just by your presence, right? Because it's such a huge, so for me, it's such a huge shift that you made that I see, and it just for me, it's a great source of inspiration. And
Oh, thank you.
so I think your Toastmasters club is very lucky to have you. So I think you guys will be,
Thank you.
yes, will be because you're the PR vice president, right?
Yes.
All right. So yes, this club is in good hands, and I'm sure we will be hearing a lot about it because it will be definitely the word will be definitely out there. Okay. Awesome, amazing. So, is there anything else that you would like to share, say at the end? Anything that maybe we didn't talk about today?
Yeah, I just want to kind of reiterate, if you guys are looking for making sure that you want to improve and be the best that you can be, I really highly recommend you contacting Maria. I mean that she's been a blessing to me, and I wouldn't be where I am today. I just feel so blessed. I've got this amazing job that I'm going to be working at. That's a promotional move for me. I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. I've learned so much within the past few months, and I've grown a lot as a person. So yes, please contact Maria if you're looking to um, grow for sure.
Thank you so much. And following up on that, if it's just really important, so I totally agree with you that having someone in your life, be it a mentor or a coach at this point of your life, it's really, really important. And so just consider that opportunity for yourself and find someone with whom you really resonate, right? Because I think one of the reasons we actually started working together is that I think that during even the first call, we actually figured out that it's a good match, right? So
Yeah.
just find someone who's really a good match for you, and I believe that every human being deserves a fulfilling and empowered life. So that's something I would like you to consider, and something that I would like to leave you with, because life is happening every day, every moment, and there is no need to delay it because we don't know whether that day when we have all our bucket list or our retirement plan will happen or not. And it's really important to make the steps every day, because at the end of the day, that's the only moment that we have, which is happening right now. And this is the one of the biggest gifts that we have, our present precious moment. Thank you very much for watching us. And again, Linda Soriano is going to have an amazing marketing mastermind launching soon. So stay tuned. It will be a really amazing event, and just to be present in her energy and all her proficiency and competency in marketing, I think is a great opportunity. Don't miss this one. Um, Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk soon again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.